Prison overcrowding.
No one can stop us.
New Mexican Mafia.
I'm above the law. So, Tekashi 6ix9ine is finally going to the big house. Already did 2 videos predicting this. First video was, will Tekashi survive in prison? Because he had a sex offence with a 13-year-old girl. That's not going to go down very well. That might get his wig split. And my other video about him was, will he do state or federal time? I'll put the links to both these videos in the description box below this video. Now what's come in is the state have given him a pass on his other charges, but the feds have come in and they are charging him with Rico, and this is why he's got no bail bond and he's currently housed in the Metropolitan Detention Centre in Brooklyn. They're saying in the general population, which isn't going to go down very well with this charge he had over the 13-year-old girl. Rico is something they slap on people, usually the mafia or gang related or any kind of co-conspiracy among a number of co-defendants. I know this because I had the state of Arizona equivalent slapped on me. I got continuous criminal enterprise, conspiracy, crime syndicate. So with Rico, it's part of an ongoing criminal enterprise, and you could become responsible for the crimes of all of the other people, all of your co-conspirators. And in this case, we're talking about the 9 Trey Bloods gang. Prosecutors saying he's a conspirator in murder, drug dealing, extortion, racketeering. These are all heavy-duty charges and crimes. So whatever the other members of the gang do, you're held responsible for, and they're using evidence against him. All this stuff Tekashi's putting out there on Twitter, like Treyway, shout out to 9 Trey Bloods, gang signs. All this stuff is showing that he's part of that gang. Now, in the beginning, the prosecutors, they throw as much charges as possible at you in the hope that just some of it will stick. So they're saying he's facing a life sentence right now. He's in the remand jail, and he's probably absolutely crapping himself, thinking he's never ever going to get out. The stress of thinking you could possibly get a life sentence is overwhelming. It's worse than the conditions, it's worse than anything else that's going on in there. But these prosecutors, they're like used car salespeople. They throw those huge charges at you in the beginning to terrify you, and over time they'll come down, they'll negotiate that down, and you'll end up, usually, most cases, signing a plea bargain, because the feds, you know, their conviction rate in court is almost 100%. You don't want to take your case to court at the end of the day. Things in his favour are Tekashi's worth $4 million, not exactly Bill Cosby kind of money. 400 million is Bill Cosby's net worth, almost $500 million, which enabled him to get his sentence really small in comparison to what he did. Tekashi's got $4 million, but he's up against the US federal government in court. Now, the US federal government has all the money in the world, and court is theatre. So yeah, Tekashi can get some high-priced lawyers with his $4 million, but the feds can outspend him all day long and put on the best theatre show. So what will happen is, over time, they'll offer him a reduced sentence. Now, the thing that will determine how reduced his sentence is how many of his co-defendants agree to cooperate with the state. So in my case, over 100 people were arrested. They were arrested in various groups, SWAT team raids. It was a high-profile, complex case. But out of all of those over 100 people, only 4 agreed to testify, to cooperate with the prosecutor at the end of the day. Everyone was very tight-knit. The prosecutor assumed everybody would agree to cooperate, and that would have sent my sentencing range off the scale. Yet in the beginning, they slapped serious drug offender status on me, which carries 25 to life. I had over half a dozen charges in the beginning. In the second year, they doubled my charges, so I had 20 plus charges. So if I had gone to court and lost, and they'd have stacked my charges, not run them concurrently, run them consecutively, each one carried a maximum of 10 for 20 plus charges, I could have got a 200-year sentence. And they made that quite clear. Another guy who had a similar case to me, they offered him a 15-year plea bargain, And then he refused to accept the 15-year plea bargain, and he ended up getting a 200-year sentence. So, how tight are the Trey Blood co-defendants Tekashi has been arrested with? If, you know, he's the high-profile one, they'll be going after him. He'll have seniority because prosecutors are trying to make their bones off this case. If they can nail Tekashi, they're going to get pay rises, they're going to get career escalation. Maybe they're running to be a judge or to be the governor of the state. They use people like Tekashi to rise up the ranks. So depending upon how many of his co-defendants agree to testify against him will determine his sentencing range. Sammy the Bull, that was a big ecstasy case that came before mine. He had about 57 co-defendants, and all of them agreed to testify against him. So that's what escalated the sentencing range for Sammy the Bull and Sammy the Bull's son. In this detention centre, it's completely brutal. It's just a warehouse for human beings that have been reduced to commodities. There's hardly any programming, hardly any recreation. Food is really lousy. This is a dank, grim place with a lot of people in there involved with the drug gangs. These places are divided racially, so it will be up to whatever race Tekashi falls under that will determine, you know, what's going to happen to this guy regarding the sex offence with the 13-year-old. He put a video on Instagram of him. 13-year-old was naked in front of him. He was slapping her behind, and she was giving one of his homies oral sex. So if he gets a pass on that from the 9 Trey Bloods and they're protecting him, some money's going to have to changing hands. If he doesn't get a pass, he's going to get smashed right away, or they're going to smash him and say, look, we can stop this from happening if you give us some money. But going in there with that rainbow hair and his rainbow teeth and his high profile nature, he's just asking to get his wig split. So he's going to be, you know, walking a very fine line to try and get through this situation unscathed. He's not getting bonded out. His lawyers will probably file a motion now to have a bond hearing and resubmit that and try and get him bonded out. But in the meantime, he's going to have to fend for himself in this federal jail. Now, this federal jail, it has various security levels. Women are housed in a different section from the men. And I imagine because of his high profile nature and because of the seriousness of the charges, he's going to be housed in probably the maximum security facility of it. When I was in the maximum security facility of the remand jail, I was allowed into a day room. There was 2 runs of cells, an upper tier and a lower tier, 2-man cells, 15 cells in total. So I was allowed to mix with 30 guys in the day room during the hours we were allowed out for some recreation. By recreation just meant going into the day room. I didn't see sunlight for almost a year when I was in maximum security. And in that maximum security where I was housed, it was the white gang, the Aryan Brotherhood, the black gang, the Mau Mau, the Mexican gang, the Paisas, and the Mexican American gang, the Chicanos. If you go in there and there's issues with your charges, your racial gang decides your fate. I rolled in there after being in medium security for a year from Towers Jail, doing the prison walk, knowing the slang, trying to fit in with the white guys, and they were like, hey Wood, where did you roll in from? This was like the head murderer, this guy called Bullet, and I'm like, Towers Jail, throwing out the slang, hoping that they'll accept me and not smash me. They told me I could stand at the table, I couldn't sit, and you know, I couldn't sit down even, I could stand at the end of the table. And at the end of the chow, later on, the gang leader, Bullet, the murderer, came into my cell, threw down all his legal paperwork and asked me to read through it. So he saw through my act as a tough guy, pretending like I knew the prison system. He saw through that right away. He saw I was an educated person and he saw I was a resource to him. So that's what enabled me to fit in, was my education became my currency. So in Tekashi's situation, he's going to ask himself now, he's in there, he's not getting bailed out, how on earth is he going to get to fit in? And while he's trying to play around the gang rules, you know, he's also got to work around the guard rules. The guards rules and the gang rules are in conflict, and the guards, because he's so high profile, I imagine he's going to get picked on by some guards. Some guards may be asking him for his autograph. I was in a newspaper article in Phoenix, and some of the guards were asking me for my autograph for that, and they put it on the wall. But other guards, they get pissed off, you know, that you were out there doing these things and it's in the media, and it brings you in their focus. And these guys have got little power in their lives, but they've got all this power over you now, so they can make your life a living hell in these kind of places. So he's going to have to play around the gang rules, he's going to have to play around the guard rules, he's got the prosecutor on his arse trying to make her name off his case. So with his legal team, hopefully he can negotiate that down over time if lots of his co-defendants don't agree to cooperate with the prosecutor. But I think he's at quite high risk right now of getting his wig split because of this sex offence, and the gang are going to want to split his wig just so someone else can come in and say, hey, we can stop that happening, we can protect you, send some money to this person on the streets and we'll make that happen for you. He's definitely in there for a rough ride with his multicoloured hair and his multicoloured teeth. So yeah, he's been out there saying what a badass he is. Let's see how long he lasts. Now he's in the big house. Appreciate all your comments, support of the channel. Went over 100,000 subs recently, and please write whatever comments you want on this. I'm going to be filming with Wildman later this week. Big credit to him helping me get over 100,000 subs. He keeps it real, and we'll be doing more videos responding to your comments and questions. So if you've got anything to ask Wildman, put it in the comments section now on his videos, on his playlist, and we'll get around to answering those later this week. I'm up in Cheshire on tour right now doing my Pablo Escobar talk, speaking in Liverpool on Friday. So if anyone out there wants to come and see this, it's on my website. If you're unemployed or a student, hit me up with an email. Might be able to put you on the free guest list for that one. Appreciate your support. Cheers from Widnes, Cheshire.